Traffic's doing good, so yeah, 7 o'clock came and went. No email yet from my internet service provider telling me I'm delinquent and shutting down my internet, obviously. So I'm now in the dark again, because people in positions of authority and trust in whether religion, government, or business, or societal, do not properly communicate. The first rule of leadership, regardless of what it's in, is to train your replacement. That's an ancient Chinese secret. Not sure if it's Chinese. It's likely back in the Egyptians, because the father has to train his son to replace him. Because you can't just not reveal leadership skills and knowledge and just expect the successor to automatically know what to do. That would be bad. Sort of like make it even worse if, a leader, like say Joseph Smith, for example, gave instructions on all things concerning the church and how to succeed him, and then after Joseph Smith is assassinated, nobody adheres to anything he said, and they call him a liar. It's not Ammon, it's Jesus. It's not Nephi, it's Moroni. It's not the gold plates, it's golden. Stuff like that. And they chose not to have a Melchizedek priesthood vote, so the 3 presidents would be chosen, not people coming up and saying, I have a secret letter from Joseph who said I am to lead this church. Follow me into the desert. Stay away from Matthew chapter 24. I don't want you to see that I'm a fraud. Yeah, can you imagine if that were the real church history? Oh, it was? Oops. And so I finished Hogan's Heroes. And now I'm on Hello. It's a show set in occupied France during World War II. It's a little more provocative than Hogan's Heroes. But, yeah, hilarious. And so, yeah, if I knew how much time I had left, yeah, I would try to figure out some way to train my replacements through these videos. But the church is on a war path to destroy me, as they've succeeded. And YouTube is in on the terrorist threat to destroy America. And Putin is celebrating today as U.S. troops have withdrawn from Ukraine. Oh no, the Battle of Magog is put on hold? Oh no, what is the church going to do? How are they going to restore polygamy for April 2022 General Conference? He's got it all planned, he's announced it. Whatever will they do? Well, so this video will be short. You'll notice as you're going over the Old Testament, because it's the Old Testament this year for Sunday school, and I believe they harmonized seminary with Sunday school so that all lessons are the same for everybody for each year. That you get into the stories, and the author is explaining the meaning of the names of each of the people. And oftentimes it's at their birth. And it's even in rabbinic scholarship, it's not understood that these are stories, not histories. Because that's one of the tells of a story being told with meaning that isn't historical. It's placed in a historical context, like fiction, but it's not literal history. And so Cain and Abel, names are described. Abraham gets a new name. Isaac had his birth. Jacob and Esau. Well, that's pivotal. That's the whole kit and caboodle for the Torah. But it's a tell that the Torah is not historical. It's not a literal history. Those people did not exist as they are telling the story. There were obviously people who existed. The Jews obviously had ancestry. They didn't just, it's not creatio ex nihilo, creation out of nothing. Jews didn't suddenly appear. Here we are. We're the chosen ones. Immaculately created. No. They had ancestry. We all had ancestry. So there is a real history. But the scriptures, even the New Testament, are not real history. They're not literal history. There are too many errors. There are too many tells that indicate that they are another form of literature. And so when you're studying your scriptures, not reading is not studying. Reading is not researching. Then those are the kinds of things you look for. You look for linguistic information, and that's part of it is the structure that it's made. So even the book of Job, it's not real history. You should have been able to figure it out with the devil and God talking to each other, placing bets as to the faithfulness of Job. That should have been your first clue. But you're also informed right at the very beginning. The sons of God are going to the temple, and then Job. Huh? What happened to the sons of God? What's going on in the temple? Oh, the story of Job is what they're learning in the temple. Ta-da! And so you see the cultural aspect of the author, that the temple was a place where you read scripture to the people. And in this particular case, the story of Job is to help the people with their life, because people have troubles in their life, but none as bad as Job. And so it's an extreme story to help people realize, hey, despite troubles in your life, don't give up on God. Ta-da! So those are the kinds of things you look for. And so with church history, yeah, you want to find out the real church history, because you don't want to take the narrative that we are given, excluding all of the evidence that has been found, or even worse, try to merge the two together. Joseph Smith translated by the gift and power of God, which was the rock in the hat, and he didn't need the plates. You see, already we've got more questions than answers. And the church isn't giving us answers to the literal history questions, let alone the historical narrative questions. And now apologists are trying to merge the two together. You know, even throwing in golden is a huge mistake, because now you've got a whole bunch more questions, but it was done because it's supposed to be gold, and the reason why it's gold. This is one of those tells, like names. See, when you have the name there, you now know what the story is going to be about. Jacob grabbing on to his brother's ankle and is named usurper. Yeah, well, we now have an idea of what the story is going to be about. And sure enough, oh, Jacob usurps the blessing, birthright, from his brother Esau. Ta-da! That's a story technique. And so Joseph Smith, in his 1838 version of church history, is doing a similar thing. And so it's the bombshell I've given you already. The first vision is who our Christ is not. It's not Jesus, because of the tells in his narrative that reveal that to us. And then you have Moroni, which the church lies and covers it up. It's Nephi. It has to be Nephi. That's the way Joseph wrote it, because there's this important message in having Nephi come to Joseph Smith, despite Hiram sharing his bed and his other brothers in the other bed and his sisters in the other room. And this angel from outer space comes and talks to Joseph only, not waking up anybody else, but keeping Joseph up all night. There's a purpose in telling the story that way. And if you're going to merge Joseph Smith's story with literal history, which you correct, you're going to be deceived. You're going to be taken way off base of what the truth is. And when you are not telling the truth, you are filled with hate. And it's different from making an error. You know, if I meant to say Alma and I said Amulek, that's not a lie. That's just a mistake. But you get people who hate, who look for any kind of a fault to mock and laugh at somebody and prove that they're false, when in that process of doing that, they reveal themselves as false and fake. But people just don't care. I did the video on love, and wouldn't you know it, thumbs down. And in that video, I even explained this may be my last video. I had no idea. I have now reached 7 a.m. and nothing yet from my internet service. So, but if that was my last video, because I won't have the internet, those two guys who put the thumbs down, who heard me say this, who heard me say that I'm not going to have the internet, who knows that YouTube has changed it so nobody else but me would see the thumbs down, and they know I may not have the internet. Did you see the level of hate? The Mormons just refuse to listen, just like the Lamanites. See, because Lehi, he pulls a stunt of, I'm getting a spiritual revelation, that Jerusalem's going to be destroyed. And so they take off, and on their journey in Saudi Arabia, Jerusalem's been destroyed. Well, you've got no evidence. You've got no proof. It's difficult for science to go around claiming such a thing if you don't go back to Jerusalem to confirm, oh, look, it is destroyed. Laman and Lemuel wanted to go back. Let them go back and prove it. And then we wouldn't have the story of the Lamanite conflict with the Nephites. But that's what ends up happening. They make it to the promised land. Lamanites want to murder Nephites and keep chasing them, and eventually, after the 116 pages are rewritten by Joseph Smith Sr., because Jr. was to babysit Martin Harris and gave him up, so Sr. had Oliver Cowdery babysit Joseph Smith and finished the record with Sidney Rigdon, as Jr. is out of the way. You get to the point where the Nephites find the Mulekites of Zarahemla. And the story tells us about the doctrine of faith without works is dead. Not faith alone. And so the Book of Mormon teaches the correct doctrine of our church in not just Alma chapter 32, starting in verse 28, by liken the word unto a seed, and gives us the parable comparison with faith with the scientific process of agriculture, but also in the stories. And so even though Lehi never gets to see the results of his revelation, the story tells us that the Nephites learned by meeting the Mulekites of Zarahemla that sure enough Lehi was right, and they testified to that. Yeah, we came from Jerusalem after it was destroyed. We're the survivors. And so it wasn't until Alma and the sons of Mosiah go to the Lamanites and correct the history that Laman and Lemuel told them. Oh, yeah, the father was crazy, Lehi, telling us lies, taking us away from Jerusalem, who were good people, saying they were going to be destroyed. And he lied to hold us bondage and hostage in this promised land of plenty and abundance, where we refuse to build. We're hunters and gatherers wandering around in our loincloths. And if you take it as a literal history, you miss the story, the message that's being told there. Because the Lamanites learn with the correct history of their church what the truth is. And that's the reason why I give you the correct history of the church. It's because Joseph Smith was a visionary man, took the Mormons away from America. Hopefully you get the point. So how do I get across to you the correct histories? Because I've got thousands of videos. I would have to do all new playlists for you and start from the beginning, and that would be a massive undertaking that I'm just in the dark as to how long I've got. Because it's not just losing my internet, it's being evicted. And I think that they're holding off on the eviction until after I lose my internet, because I won't be able to call for help, as I've been able to do over these years when they've cyclically attacked me to destroy me under orders of the church. Yes, under orders of the church. I sued the church. They know everyone involved. My lawsuits involved conspiracy with RICO, which means the church is organized crime and have layers of leadership under that structure, and so Mormons are the soldiers of the church, as associates are anybody who's not Mormon but are compromised by the church, such as Judge Campbell. She's not Mormon, but she's clearly compromised, as she denied my lawsuit for fear of her job because of what the church did to Judge First. And if you're going, Judge First, it sounds familiar. Did the Salt Lake Tribune do an article on that? Yes, they did. But the Salt Lake Tribune did not disclose the whole facts of what was going on. They did not disclose that she was doing the case for Gaddy versus COP. And that after Judge First allowed that case to proceed, she got fired by the Mormon boys also in the federal court. That was sort of left out of the Salt Lake Tribune's article. But I knew all about it because they assigned Judge First, who'd been fired for a lawsuit against the church, to my lawsuit against the church, where she was ordered to have it dismissed. But I dropped the bombshell, and she was trapped. Oh crap, I've been fired because I allowed a case against the church to proceed. Now I'm being assigned to a case against the church, and I'm being ordered to dismiss it, and Travis just dropped the bombshell. He's got evidence. And the little girls in the back room are shocked also, because when I told her, she all of a sudden got a pen, started writing on paper. She was no longer looking at me. But despite her allowing me to refile, she did nothing. She just went dead, went silent, refused to do her job because she knew her life was in danger. The church is that wicked, that corrupt, that evil. And so here I am, destroyed. And it's not because I sued the church. The church had already committed crimes against me. Like I said, I had the money trail. That was the bombshell evidence. And the whole cause was that I came to the church January 1st, 1998. Joseph Smith is a translator. Church is true, right? What do you mean wrong? What? You're denying science to show Joseph Smith is false? What? Yeah. File, troublemaker file, number 36434. I became the enemy of the church because I told them Joseph Smith was a translator. And here we are. They've destroyed me to keep it all secret from you. Ordering YouTube to keep it a secret from you. So, now I have to figure out how to train my replacement when I'm assassinated just like Joseph.